All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, giving you guys the hottest wrestling scoops inside the entertainment industry. Also, giving you some hot takes. Gotta love them wrestling hot takes. Obviously, if you have one, send it in the chat right now. You have no other choice to send it. Go ahead and work those fingertips right there, guys. Don't be lazy. I'm just kidding. No, just kidding. But yeah, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. We talk about a lot of the action that happens inside and outside of the ring. We also talk about backstage news drama, everything that the superstars are going through, and maybe some potential storylines to kind of mess with as well. You know what I mean? So it's always good to. That's what wrestling's all about, baby. You just kind of play around a little bit. Obviously, remember to hit up that super chat because you guys are super awesome. Hit up those super stickers because you guys are super awesome. And yeah. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into our next segment, 1010%. As I was kind of building this, I was like, okay, do I have enough content? And I do. So if it seems like, oh, I got my man Logan James. Hello, how you doing, my guy? Hope you're having a great Thursday night. I don't know if you're a football fan, if you watch Thursday Night Football, but God bless you and your family. Hope you guys have a great, had a great week so far. Hope you guys are heading toward a great weekend. All right. So, damn, I got 17 rivalries to kind of go through, so I might like spend a little bit less time on one as opposed to the other, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful to some of the rivalries that, like I said, when it comes to lists or, like stuff that, it's subjective, you know what I mean? So a lot of times it mostly is WWE. Sorry guys. But yeah, let's go ahead and dig on into it. Let's get this party going. Obviously, the first one's gonna have to be Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. These guys, it's I don't know how to put this. Just imagine, okay, obviously everybody works to make a living. You know what I mean? You go to your 9 to 5 job. Sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it lacks communication. Sometimes it sucks. Stone Cold Steve Austin was that guy that would tell the boss how he felt. Something that you've always wanted to kind of tell off your boss, flip him off, give him a Stone Cold Stunner, pour beer on him or something like that. I mean, that's what Stone Cold Steve Austin was. He did not give an F. He was defiant, and the WWE fans absolutely loved it. Stone Cold Steve Austin definitely ushered in a new era after Shawn Michaels, got injured, after Bret Hart went to the WCW. And Stone Cold Steve Austin was kind of the soldier boy, you know what I mean? Triple H was peaking. The Rock was also peaking as well, but those guys wouldn't become, wouldn't rise to the top if it wasn't for Stone Cold Steve Austin. A young Undertaker as well, and Kane also played in, a lot to that as well. So obviously, you have the chairman of the board, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, going face to face with Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right, next we have Edge and Matt Hardy. Obviously, I love this. I do love this rivalry, and I got a chat from my man Logan James. Julia versus Asuka in Saturday night's main event, once in a lifetime. Oh, that'd be great. That'd be an amazing match to see. Both very successful from Stardom. From the Japan Wrestling. I definitely I would love that. I would love that. So the best thing about this rivalry between Matt Hardy and Edge was that it was real. It was real. Obviously, when they were fighting each other in tables, ladders, and chairs with the Dudley Boys, yeah, that was the rivalry. But the rivalry that I'm more or less, kind of, once when Edge stole Lita from Matt Hardy, which was, kind of crazy when Matt Hardy came out, and it was totally unscripted. He started beating the hell out of Edge, and it was just this rivalry that was, it was hot and it was steamy. It was great. It was great for the audience. It's great for the promo. I probably, sucked for Matt, you know what I mean, obviously. But it made for good content, I'm just kidding, no. Just kidding, no, I loved it though. It was pretty awesome. CM Punk, John Cena during the not the kind of nearing the end of the Ruthless Aggression era. You basically had CM Punk. CM Punk was always that guy who was going to go out there and produce great matchups. And to him, John Cena was like the teacher's pet. He was like the teacher's pet, and John Cena was like the person that didn't get the respect he deserved, didn't get any recognition for anything he did inside the ring. He put on great matchups. He cut great promos. He definitely helped stars rise up in the company as well. as John Cena was like quite the opposite. And this rivalry was so hot. It was so crazy because I feel like this was a huge reason why CM Punk mostly, he kind of walked out. He kind of saw John Cena the favorite. Then, of course, then you had Dwayne The Rock Johnson come back into the picture whenever he wanted and headline WrestleMania. So for him, you kind of saw the two guys, who obviously were, like I said, the teacher's pets, kept getting opportunity after opportunity, and CM Punk got fed up with it. Obviously, cut that pipe bomb, and yeah, eventually left WWE only to return at Survivor Series. It was kind of crazy, almost a year. Next, I got Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks. I was gonna say Mercedes Moné, but these girls were great. Fighting each other from like 2000 and ever since their time as the Four Horsewomen. Also until not yeah no Sasha until she left the WWE. They had great matchups. I remember they had an Iron Man match, and it was like iron sharpens iron. These girls would literally go out there, give it all they got, and it was just good wrestling. And I remember, because my wife's she was a huge Sasha Banks fan, and I was like, Charlotte Flair, obviously, Ric Flair. So I thought she was the bee's knees. But these girls would trade titles after titles after titles. They would trade W's and W's and L's and L's. Overall, I think this is definitely one of the underrated rivalries that not a lot of people kind of talk about. All right, next we got Ricky Steamboat taking on Ric Flair. This was obviously the rich history of the NWA and the WCW in the late 1980s, early 1990s. Steamboat was kind of like your down to earth family man against the styling, profiling, limousine riding, wheeling and dealing, kiss stealing son of a gun. And that definitely played into the rivalry a little bit because you kind of had your blue collar workers with Ricky Steamboat, your family men, and then you had the white collar workers, the guys that that kind of act like their stuff doesn't stink. I'm just kidding. No, but Ric Flair came in as this hot, kind of came in as this hot young guy who had the NWA kind of feeding out of his hands, and oh my God, he was so good. Like he was so good. Man, that's Ric Flair. I kind of hate myself for not putting him on my Mount Rushmore, but like once again, it is subjective. But I don't know. He did great for professional wrestling, but then so did Ricky Steamboat. So this is one of the rivalries that a lot of people, especially other wrestling fans, would kind of level with me a little bit. Next, we have Daniel Bryan and the Authority. Daniel Bryan and the Authority. Nothing like a corrupt authority figures that have been a part of professional wrestling for quite some time. Kind of reminds me of such like a movie kind of storyline landscape of it. I feel like that's the reason why a lot of people loved it. Kind of the person that steps up the tyrants, you know what I mean, not letting anybody push him down. Happened during the 2010s. He was the underdog. Daniel Bryan was the fan favorite, and he would go against people like Randy Orton, also Kane, and also the Shield. So he took an ass beating or a couple or two, man, but he rose above it. He rose above it, and he killed it. And he won some titles from it. So so who's laughing now? I'm just kidding. Uh, Next we have Mitsuharu Misawa and Toshiaka Kawada. Obviously, legitimate hatred and tension toward each other. I guess these guys known each other since high school. They were high school friends and former tag team partners. Just that alone is like, damn, like that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that in New Japan Professional Wrestling, that's what they kind of rekindle in, just to kind of get these fans on the edge of their seats because they've been a successful wrestling promotion for a pretty long time. So this rivalry definitely came out when I was doing some research. Next, we have The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. The matches between each other, it wasn't the fanciest. They didn't tie up often. The first matches obviously happened in the early 2000s, but then they went one on one again in 2014. WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, Brock Lesnar pinned The Undertaker. He pinned him cleanly, so I thought that was kind of cool. For the 1, 2, 3, ending his illustrious, undefeated streak at WrestleMania. So a little bit of rivalry. Guys kind of fought earlier in the during the invasion. I feel like it was like Once when, I can't say his name. I was gonna say, oh God, he who can't be named, and Eddie Guerrero was there as well. JBL and Brock Lesnar was a young rising star, and he put up some pretty good matches against the Undertaker. So it's kind of cool to kind of see them, kind of fight back and forth here and there. Got to rapidly finish this up because I'm running out of time and I still got a lot of team. Uh, I got Kevin Steen against Generico. Early in the 2010s, late 2000s, early 2010s, Ring of Honor was killing it. A tag team that ended badly. Steen turned against Hernico at Final Battle in 2009. Steen in 2012 was PWI's most hated wrestler of the year. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of cool. In WWE, they're best known as Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They feuded in the Ring of Honor. Pure Wrestling, Gorilla, NXT, and WWE. So, kind of going out there, kind of growing up with this guy. Obviously, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are best friends, absolutely best friends. And sometimes you put in, the great work. You put in some of your greatest work with somebody that with the, at the back of your hand. Usually, people will, take it to tag teams, and sometimes it does blossom into rivalries, and it's the best. Like, once when Triple H and Shawn Michaels went at it for a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, it was just good. It was just good. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa in NXT was one of the greatest rivalries. But kind of looking at a young Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, that's kind of cool how they kind of made it to they're working together. I think that's pretty badass. All right, next we have the Apex Predator, Randy Orton and John Cena. During the final years of the Ruthless Aggression era, and it began in 2007. In 2009, though, they headlined PLEs such as Night of Champions, SummerSlam, and Breaking Point, really putting over both stars here. You know, Randy Orton was still young, mostly known for his work in Evolution. This kind of made him into like a badass, kind of like the man that we know today. Unleashing that like that locked in evil that Randy Orton uses to his advantage, and kicking people in the head and RKOing people out of nowhere, and of course turning on people. And John Cena was kind of like that. He was kind of that same character. He was that same character, and John Cena, he did it well. Like I love definitely I love how John Cena's character in WWE never changed, although people wanted him super bad to turn heel, but it just wasn't good business. This guy was drawing in a lot of different fans from younger generations. Kids were wearing John Cena shirts, and it was necessary. At this point in time for wrestling, it was absolutely necessary, and just so it doesn't get stale, and a lot of people take a step away. Next, we have Sting going against the NWO. The NWO ran rapid all over WCW in 1996 and 1997. Sting's obviously his look and his attitude shifted in a more darker kind of persona inspired by the Crow. Obviously, now had a darker demeanor. And at Starrcade, he actually did defeat Hollywood Hulk Hogan. One of the things that WCW actually did really good was, this rivalry here, which was, kind of badass. Like I said, gotta throw some flowers whenever flowers are due. All right, Tommy Dreamer and Raven, ECW's latest 1990s and early 2000s. It was over the top violence, attention grabbing storylines, interesting yet, beloved characters. So they definitely fought each other for years. For years. I think still during the independent circuits nowadays, like these guys still kind of go at it, which is cool. I like it. Obviously, mutual respect between the two. They've kind of gone through the greater a little bit of professional wrestling after when ECW and WCW did kind of roll over, because Tommy Dreamer did kind of hold a little bit of animosity when Raven decided to leave ECW to WCW. But overall, these guys, they're friends. They're friends, and at a time they actually did not like each other, but then they were friends, and then they would have a beef, and then they would squash it, and then they were friends. Kind of like your standard. Like I look at these guys, and obviously you see that picture on the left. You kind of see these guys, they kind of remind you of like those kind of older guys that like they hate each other, but then they love each other. But like the smallest pipe bomb, the smallest fuse is gone to like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of you. And then they start fighting each other. Definitely, definitely love that. Definitely, a couple other matches, obviously. I mean, a couple other rivalries. I got Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, obviously one of my huge favorites. I loved Shawn Michaels, and I liked Bret Hart. But Shawn Michaels was just a people person, man. He was just, everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. He was so cocky. He was like in your face. He could be a jerk sometimes, but man, it's something that definitely fueled WWF/WWE back in the day. So and Bret Hart still the excellence of execution, one of the best professional wrestlers of all time. I don't think that title will ever go away. And a couple honorable mentions I got here. I got Kenny Omega taking on Kazuchika Okada. These guys have been at each other's throats for such a long time. It's crazy. These guys have a bunch of, Dave Meltzer's over 5 stars matches, rated 7.5 out of 5 or 9.5 out of 5, which is, kind of crazy, but, I dig it. You know what I mean? But these guys were great. Two of the best wrestlers in the independent wrestling scene. I remember talking to a guy. He was like, "Oh, you're a professional wrestling fan?" I was like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "Oh, do you know who Kenny Omega is?" And I was like, you know what? I guess I really just stick to WWE." But after now, kind of dabbling on into professional wrestling a little deeper, it's kind of cool to see some of these guys that are absolute dogs, man, and they put on some great matches. So definitely love and respect Kaz Okada. Obviously, right now, his character in the Elite as the AEW Continental Champion is kind of rubbing me the wrong way, but hopefully they fix that. And Kenny Omega is in training right now to make his debut, to make a return to WWE. Next, of course, we have Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. These guys, obviously, the Mega Powers. I think it was the Mega Powers. I think that was called when they were with Macho Man Randy Savage's wife was the person that would walk him out, like their manager and stuff like that. So, what's much to say about 80s hardcore wrestling? These guys were the faces of professional wrestling. They were great as a tag team, but then they were even better when they would feud and fight each other. You know what I mean? Who wouldn't want to see that? Teaming all together, it's cool and all. Kind of reminds me of like nowadays, like a Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Yeah, it's cool they're teaming up, and they do put out great matchups. But man, would I love to see these girls go at it. Like it would be so great. It would be, definitely a highly anticipated match. Maybe at WrestleMania would be pretty cool. But Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan making the list. And last but not least, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Stone Cold Steve Austin, like I said, kind of has his own demeanor, kind of doesn't really care. Had his, he's defiant. He gets his own. He gets his own in The Rock. He became the people's champion, but before he was kind of like that cocky, snary, like arrogant kind of guy that would not interact with the fans, call them all jabronis, and kind of playing a little bit of a hero that he is now when he made it back to professional wrestling, going against Cody Rhodes and stuff like that, where people kind of see him, you want to like him because the way like he's that guy that's like super cool, but man, he can at the drop of a hat he can be a complete jerk. So definitely these guys would of course kind of butt heads. Two of the young rising stars in the WWF. All that picture's missing is Triple H and the Undertaker, Kane, Mankind. So definitely got to pay my respects. Love that. Love the rivalry. I definitely loved when Vince McMahon would try to hone in The Rock to kind of fight on his behalf and stuff like that against Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right, so that was some of my greatest wrestling rivalries. If I missed any, obviously drop them inside the chat. So, but until then, let's move on. We have WWE Saturday Night's main event returns to WWE in December. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to give you guys some of my some of the greatest matches that happened in the event's history. So, hey, do not go anywhere.